Alright, How I Created the Theory of Relativity, Jun Ishiwara's Notes of Einstein's Lecture at Kyoto University, presented 14 December 1922, published 1923. This is the most up-to-date rendition. It's available at einsteinpapers.press.princeton.edu. Here's the original, and we're going to go for the translation. So there's been an entire controversy surrounding these notes and several slightly altering translations, of course, right where the crucial piece of information is throughout the years, because people try to repress this so fucking hard. But this is going to be a re-upload in my case because I missed some crucial information that had been cropped out of the frame I had tried to record last time. Okay, so translation. It is by no means easy to give an account of how I arrived at the theory of relativity. That is because it involves various hidden complex factors which stimulate one's thinking and influence it in varying degrees. I will not mention these factors one by one. Also, I will not list the papers I have written. I will only briefly summarize the key points of the main strand in the development of my thinking. The first time I entertained the idea of the principle of relativity was some 17 years ago. From where it came, I cannot exactly tell. I am certain, however, that it had to do with problems related to the optics of moving bodies. Light travels through the ocean of the ether, and so does the Earth. From the Earth's perspective, the ether is flowing against the Earth, and yet I could never find proof of the ether's flow in any of the physics publications. This made me want to find any way possible to prove the ether's flow against the Earth, due to the Earth's motion. When I began pondering this problem, I did not doubt at all the existence of the ether or the motion of the Earth. One more time. When I began pondering this problem, I did not doubt at all the existence of the ether or the motion of the Earth. Thus, I predicted that if light from some source were appropriately reflected off a mirror, it should have a different energy depending on whether it moves in the direction of the Earth's movement or in the opposite direction. Using two thermoelectric piles, I tried to verify this by measuring the difference in the amount of heat generated in each. This idea was the same as in Michelson's experiment, but my understanding of his experiment was not yet clear at the time. I was familiar with the strange results of Michelson's experiment while I was still a student pondering these problems, and instinctively realized that if we accepted his result as a fact, and the originals said his null result as a fact, they decided to remove that from this. If we accepted his result as a fact, it would be wrong to think of the motion of the Earth with respect to the ether. This insight actually provided the first route that led me to what we now call the principle of special relativity. I have since come to believe that, although the Earth revolves around the Sun, its motion cannot be ascertained through experiments using light. Okay, so from here he goes on to talk about his solution, where he invents his little contraction equations and starts acting like the god of physics and shrinking space, dilating time, which isn't even an actual dimension, so on and so forth. And this was all to overcome the null result of the Michelson-Morley experiment, which failed to demonstrate the motion of the Earth, no matter how many times this experiment was conducted. This is why they have to play these word games, because as a grown-up, you start to realize that the world of science and academia, it's not a straightforward conversation. It's a game. It is a chess game where these people, in order to maintain their stance, they're not going to admit certain things. They're going to reword it and use doublespeak, right? So right down here, I was familiar with the strange results of Michelson's experiment while I was still a student pondering these problems. Okay, so what does he mean by the strange results of Michelson's experiment? He means that they couldn't detect the fucking motion of the Earth. And that's a little strange, don't you think? Since we assume it. Okay, so still a student pondering these problems and instinctively realized that if we accepted his null, that's what it used to say, now it just says if we accepted his result as a fact. And see, here's what I'm saying. It's a game. They can't even use null result. They have to fucking remove every single bit they can get away with to make you think a certain way. So if we accepted his result as a fact, it would be wrong to think of the motion of the Earth with respect to the ether, as in it would be wrong to think of the motion of the Earth. Right? Like, do you see what that means? It would be wrong to assume the Earth moves But if he says it that blatantly, now you have one of the world's top physicists admitting that the modern day cosmogony is very likely completely and utterly fucking false. And that we've just wasted 500 years using the wrong principles and applying them to our cosmology. So, in order to avoid that, what does he say? I have since come to believe that, although the Earth revolves around the Sun, its motion cannot be ascertained through experiments using light. Okay, and in case anybody forgot, at this point, this is Albert Einstein. Quote from Albert Einstein: I have since come to believe that, although the Earth revolves around the Sun, its motion cannot be ascertained through experiments using light. Do you see what I'm saying? When I say that these people play doublespeak games? He's saying that even though we can't prove the Earth moves, we know damn well it moves around the Sun. That's not how that works. You don't get to say, I can't prove the Earth moves, and then say, but I know it moves around the Sun. These two things don't mix. This is a contradictory statement, right? This is circular reasoning.